We normally are very specific about one or two topics, but we know that you guys often have a lot of questions, and especially if you're a green client and you're out there and you're looking for support and we don't offer it, we always say sign up for the business plan because you can get it. You can talk to any of us anytime, or you can come to this session and you can ask anything. If it's a question that we can answer, we will certainly answer it here. If it's something that we need to kind of point you to your accountant or bookkeeper, we'll do that. And we'll just tell you where you can go to find some of these answers too. So throw them in here. Ask me anything. I am the head of support and training. I know the answer to just about every question you're going to have. So throw them out there. Go, Kinga.
Test it. Test it if you don't believe her.
That's true. I love being tested.
Let me just...
We got a lot of people here today.
I know, I love it.
I do too.
People have a lot of questions. All right, so question number 1. Can PaymentEvolution be used to pay expense reimbursements?
Okay, that's a great question. The answer is yes. You can use it to do expense reimbursements. You can use it to do anything that you really want to do. I don't advise it though. So I'm going to show you what the deal is with an expense reimbursement. So if you do an expense reimbursement, can you pass the screen over to me? Awesome. So if I was going to do an expense reimbursement within payroll, I would log into my account, go to my company settings, and click on Pay Rules. I would add an earning, I already have one here, called expense reimbursements. I've enabled it, but not made it subject to any taxes. Now, I can use this as an additional earning when I'm in a pay run. So I go to Run Payroll. We'll start a new payroll just for fun. So after I approve somebody's regular earnings within payroll, and again, we're just kind of going through that part quickly because I'm assuming most of you guys know how to do this stuff. We can click our plus sign at the end of the line to add an additional earning and select expense reimbursements and put in our amount. It will come in as non-taxable income. Oops, I'm going to make it a solid amount, a really easy to see amount. So you'll see that it's not taxable because that's what I've set it to. I've set it to not being taxable, and that's exactly what I want. So let's go to our calculate page, just confirm that it's doing what we want it to do. So here's the deal, though. While this is processing, here's why you shouldn't do this. Because expense reimbursements are not a part of payroll. They are not a part of payroll. They are not a part of your employee wage expense. And the system will report anything that you pay to an employee as an employee wage expense. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. So you can see that the employee's gross is $43,4615 and their taxable income $38,4615. The taxable income is the regular earnings. The expense reimbursement, not taxable as we told it not to be. What happens when you pay this as part of payroll and you're using the GL report is it's going to report on this employee's GL that they're associated with it. We don't recommend doing this. Expense reimbursements are expenses that are costing your company money, and they're office expenses or travel expenses or whatever the case may be. They're not payroll. So you can do one of two things. Number one, if you do it this way because you just want to pay them out this way, okay, you've done it this way. What I'm going to recommend that you do is after you do it, let me finalize this and you can actually see me do it. After you do it, you are going to go to the dynamic report and you are going to run a custom report. Pull this amount out and then you will have to manually adjust your GL. Okay. So I'll show you. I'm going to go to dynamic reports. And let's see. I'm just going to do a custom report. I didn't pay attention to the dates, so I'm just going to do it for the year. I don't think I've actually used this earning this year. Alternative number 2 to doing it this way is to use business payments. Business payments is our vendor payments, our business-to-business payments. They are available to anyone who is using and integrating with Xero, Cashew, or QuickBooks Online. When you do that, you get an invoice from your employee for, let's say, travel, and you enter it into your company books. We will pull that invoice over into business payments. We will pay it into the vendor, or in this case, employee's bank account, and we'll automatically mark it as paid in your accounting software. So this is really great if you have if you are going to use this amount. If you're going to use this, if you use those if you use those accounting programs, this is a really great feature to use this for exactly this, because it really is a company expense. It should not be a part of payroll. So do it that way if you're connected. And coming soon, I think, is going to be Sage 1 as well with business payments. So that's a great way to do it. Hey, can you guys see my screen, or are you seeing Kinga's screen?
My screen now.
No, okay.
Okay. Ooh. So next question.
Awesome.
Is there a way to test? Oh my goodness. Is there a way to test that my payroll run will be correct before I actually run it?
So there's a couple ways to do this. Option 1 is you can use our demo account. This is always the best answer to this. So if you go to your main login page, there is a blue button that says test using a full demo account. If you click on it, it will give you a pre-populated account with some information in it, but you can do anything in here. You can add employees so that they match your employees' information. You can edit the employees that are here so that they match your employees' information, and you can run a payroll and finalize it. You'll see all the reports and all the information. Just know that when you're timed out or you log out, the information will be reset, so it won't store your information in there. So do what you need to do with the test. Second option is you can do it from within your account. You can get to that. Sorry, I'm just going to go back and go into one of my accounts. You can get to the review stage of the pay run. So when you're in the pay run, run a payroll, on the review stage, I think I have one. Oh, no, not here. On the review page, you have a variety of reports that are available to you as interim reports. And so you can use any of those to review where you are. So I'm going to click approve. I'm going to calculate. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But what I have on to verify things are correct. So I've got my basic employee data here. I can select an employee if I want to drill into one employee. I can click on View Journal, which is a PDF with your report, your entire pay run listed by employee in columns. Okay, or this is one of my favorite reports. So if you don't know about this one, find it. Reports, Earnings Journal. Click on it. Change your filter status from final to interim. Every time you click the Calculate button, one of these is created. If you click the View button, on screen, you will get everything that is in that pay run, and here's the best part, you can choose what to display.
So this is perfect because we actually just had a question in the box asking where you can find a report exactly like this.
Okay,
so.
Awesome. So usually what I like to do is I get rid of like the first name, the pay rate, because maybe I just want to look at, who got their gym membership, and it looks like nobody had vacation earned, so let's uncheck that box. And I'm not really caring about the taxes or whatever it is. So you can choose what you want to display, and that is what you will see on here. And if you're an Excel person, this currently is not available in Excel, but you can copy and paste it. It goes right into an Excel file, and if you want to work with it there, go for it. There is a totals line as well, so you can double check that everything adds up the way it should. So again, it's reports, journal register, and then just change the filter status to interim. What you should know is that if you finalize this payroll as it is, this interim report will be converted into the final version. If you do something else and then click the calculate button again, the first one will stay as an audit trail, and it will continue to stay until you finalize a version. So there you go.
Okay.
The only thing I will say, don't finalize a test in your account because it's not easy to undo.
All right. Which accounting software does business payments work with?
Awesome. We should have put that one with that expense reimbursement one.
There you go.
So we answered this in the expense reimbursements one. It is Xero, Cashew, and QuickBooks Online currently, and we are working on the Sage 1 integration.
Are life insurance and long-term disability insurance taxable?
So this is a great question. And I actually spoke with the gentleman who asked this question and clarified it for him. So the typical answer is your accountant or your benefits provider should be giving you these answers. If somebody talks to me, I will generally tell you what I know, but I always tell you to go to your accountant or bookkeeper or benefits provider because they can provide more information on this, because certain plans might have a different scenario, and it depends on what your plan is. So those are your two best people, and honestly, your benefits provider is the number one source for that one.
How do I set up an additional tax deduction? I'm just going to go ahead and pass that screen right back over
Pass
to you.
it over. Awesome. Okay, additional tax deductions. I'm so glad somebody asked this because this is one that a lot of people want and a lot of people do incorrectly. And then at year end, at T4 time, they say, where did all this money go? And a lot of times it ends up still sitting in the company bank account because it wasn't allocated properly. And so nothing ever happened to it. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So to create an additional tax deduction, I have to mark the deduction as federal tax. And there's only one way to do that, so I'm going to show you. To create the deduction, I would have to create a payroll. But before I do that, I need the GL code for federal tax. That is how I associate it with it. So I go to my company settings, payroll options. I'm going to click on the GL tab, and I'm going to find my code for federal tax. Okay, you must use this. I will say it again very slowly. You must use this. Okay, we're going to go back and we're going to create our rule and we'll apply it to an employee. So how rules work in our system, just really quickly, is you create a rule for the company and you apply them individually to employees, because maybe not everybody wants an additional tax deduction. I already have it set up. Gosh, I'm so good. Right here, I have a deduction rule called additional tax. You can add a new rule if you're doing it yourself, or you can change the name of one that's there, and you check the checkbox to enable it and put in the GL code that you took from the GL page. Okay, this is imperative. If you do not put the GL code in the GL page, the funds will not be taken. They will not be sent to CRA, and nor will there be any indication that you should send them if you're doing your own remittances. So what will happen is you'll take it off the employee's check, but it will sit in your bank account and it will go nowhere. And your employee will be very unhappy at year end to know that you did not submit this on their behalf. And then it creates a nightmare. So please put in the GL code and click save. Once you've done that, let's go to apply it to an employee. So I'm going to click edit on the employees line, go to the deductions page, select additional tax. If I click add, it shows up down below, and I'm going to say $50 and click save. Now when I run payroll for this employee, $50 is going to be deducted. So it's going to be even better. Oh, we'll recalculate. She was already approved. We'll recalculate so we can see. Now we've created a new interim report because we're changing something. And let's just have a look. Now we see that the additional tax of $50 is being taken off. So it's being added to this federal tax. Now, if I close the period after this, what's going to happen is that $50 is going to be included in the remittance amount that either we send for you if you're on remittances with us, or you send yourself. So please make sure that GL code is there and you're good to go.
Okay. Why does it take 4 business days to pay my employees?
The dreaded question.
Favorite.
It takes 4 business days. This is not our rule. This is the bank's rules. The reason is because we are a no risk payments provider. So anybody that tells you that they can do it in shorter than 4 days is a risked payments provider, which means that they will take the risk that your funds don't clear before they pay out your employees or your invoices or whatever it is. They will take that chance. We do not. We do not fund your payroll on your behalf, so we ensure that the funds clear from your bank account before we pay your employees or vendors. Canadian banking standards requires that this is 4 business days. We don't love it either. We have lots of people who want it changed, and you have no idea how often we are talking to the banks and how many relationships we are working on building so that we can have shorter lead times in the future. But right now, for non-risk providers, this is what it is, unfortunately.
We use Xero accounting software, and we love using PE for the business payments. However, I noticed that PaymentEvolution does not pull through employee expense claims in Xero. Is this something PaymentEvolution will be able to do at some point?
Is this a question that we got just now? Can you clarify? I'm not sure I understand the question. So I love that you love using the 2 programs together, and you say we don't pull employee expense claims in Xero. Are you employee expense claims need to be entered as bills? So only things that are entered as bills in Xero are things that we are able to pull per Xero's request. Is there a different field that you're entering these in rather than a bill?
We're just waiting on the answer. Expense claims is a separate. Okay, Xero allows expense claims to be entered through a phone app. So it pulls it up into Xero, I'm assuming.
So when it goes into Xero, then where does it hit?
They come through different payables.
But they're not considered bills, I'm assuming. I'm assuming they're coming in as something different.
As expense claims.
So what I'm going to recommend is that I am not aware if there's going to be a further integration with that. So I'm going to say send this into support@paymentevolution.com as a feature request, and I'll ask the team to look into it.
How do you pay out termination pay? Passing it over.
There are a million scenarios for termination pay. So it depends on what you're doing. This is a really tough one. It really depends on what you're doing. I just wrote an article today. I just published it about retiring allowances as lump sum payments. Tell me more how you want to pay it out, and I can tell you how to do it. This would be cool if this was a live call-in.
I know. Not how it works.
I know. But then everyone could hear everyone, and it would be cool. We could be like a radio show.
Okay. We'll hold off on that one for a minute and move ahead to the next question, which is, are vacation earned and vacation paid out balances provided?
Are vacation earned and vacation paid out balances provided? If you're looking for a report on those, absolutely. So you can go to reports, and then dynamic report. Change the report type from general to vacation. And what you will see is total earnings, vacation paid, accrued, and balance. So accrued would be accrued so far this year, and then the balance is what's still owing. If that was not the question, then
how can you set up the vacation balances?
Sure.
If you could show that.
Sure, absolutely. So if you're new with PaymentEvolution, when you're adding an employee, if they have a vacation amount that is owed to them, you could simply click on the edit button, or when you're adding the employee, you've got them in there. Oh, I think I selected the contractor. Let's do somebody else. So on the payroll details and rules tab, there is a field for vacation pay owing. So I can add an amount here, and I can turn on my vacation, whatever it may be. The program has 4%, 6%, and 8% accrue or release each pay set up. And just a note, if you put an amount in vacation pay owing, chances are you're going to be accruing it. If for some reason you are not and you want to release it each pay, it will release this amount the first pay, because the system is set to release anything that's here and anything that is earned. So if you're setting up a vacation amount owing, set them to accrue unless you want it all to pay out in that first pay after you've done it. Awesome.
Okay, so that termination question.
Yes.
Once someone is terminated, we need to pay them the termination in lieu of notice. We have to do that in 7 days after termination pay, so that it is between pay runs. That's the clarification.
Okay. So what you're going to want to do is a couple things. So first things first, I am going to hope that you are on a business plan or above, because then you have access to our special pay feature. If you're on a green plan, you're going to end up doing it as you're most likely going to end up doing it as a regular run because you don't have a choice. But I believe there's some leeway in that lieu of notice pay, because it should be able to coincide with your regular pay cycle. I believe it's either the end of the pay cycle or within 7 days after the end of the pay cycle. So you might want to verify that 7-day rule. But here's how you're going to set it up. So what I would do is I would create a pay rule for this, so it's very clear to the employee what they're being paid. So I would click on the settings and go to pay rules. Again, if you are on a green plan, you cannot customize these rules. So if you want to maybe use an earnings rule that's already created, so you could go to our default rules and have a look, and then you would maybe get something with the employee signing it saying, okay, this pay code that I use to pay you means wages in lieu of notice, if you can't create that. Or move up to a business plan and you can create this yourself. So I'm going to go back to the custom rules and I'm going to create a new one. I am going to say wages in lieu. Oh, I can't do that with that one. I'm going to add a new one. Wages in lieu. GL code doesn't matter. 24X doesn't matter. I'm going to leave it as set to all taxes, so you can verify what taxes it's subject to, whether it's vacationable. You can check all those things with your accountant or with CRA. One thing I will point out is wages in lieu, depending on the amount, could be taxed as bonus tax method. That is a different tax calculation for kind of these one-time payments. So it depends on the amount. So you might want to double check. If it is bonus tax method, please check off occasional earnings. If it is not bonus tax method, please leave that blank. So I'm going to leave it blank for now and just click save. So before I terminate the employee, I'm going to run a payroll for them. I'm going to trash this one, start over. I'm going to use the special run. It's an off-cycle run. It's just for this one employee, this one time. And then I click submit. And I'm going to change regular hours to wages in lieu. And I'm either going to enter my hours times rate or my total. Check the checkbox and approve. This will come in as when I terminate the employee after this. So after I finish this pay run, I would go to employees. And click the terminate button. The program has no way of knowing that these are wages in lieu of notice. So if you need to report these separately on the ROE, you would simply modify the ROE at that point and put it. It will already show in block 1 because it's the last payment you made. Or if you make it in addition to your regular payment, so you add their regular hours and then put in that extra line by adding the additional earnings for the wages in lieu. This will all show up in block 1 for box 15C, where it says a breakdown pay period by pay period. This will all show up in there as the dollar amount, but you might have to report it somewhere else, I believe in section 17 on the ROE. So you might just have to report that amount. That way Service Canada knows that this is kind of a special payment. If you are doing it as part of your normal run, don't use the special option, just use the regular option and run it that way. And then terminate and modify your ROE as needed.
I tried to compare the CRA online payroll calculator with PaymentEvolution, but it's not matching.
So this is a great question. We definitely have people who ask this because everybody wants to know that things are right. I love it when people ask me to prove it. So the CRA calculator works with what are called ranges. So it has TD1 ranges. So if you were to look up the payroll tax tables within CRA, you would see that each amount that you are being paid as your gross pay is subject to a range. So it's about a $20 to $30 range for each one. And then they give you a tax amount for that. With PaymentEvolution, we use exact dollar amounts and do the exact calculation. CRA can't do the exact calculation, so their tax tables and their calculator works with a range. Same thing with their TD1 values. It works with a range rather than an exact value. This will often create an up to $5 differential between the CRA calculator and our program. If you are noticing something bigger than a $5 differential, send it to me. I'll figure it out.
How do we pay our contractors who are not paid on an hourly basis? We're currently using FreshBooks.
Great question. So I would set up your contractors as employees, as time-based employees, but set their setting to contractors. So let me show you how to do that. I've got one already set in here. So when I add an employee, I'm just going to pretend that I'm just adding this employee. Under employee type, I have permanent, temporary, or contractor. So I would set them as contractor. What that's going to do is set them as tax exempt. But then when I go over to the payroll details and rules, I set them as time-based. As soon as they're time-based, they're going to show up on my timesheets page in the pay run. And then I have the ability to import from FreshBooks. I might not have it on this account because I might not have activated FreshBooks on this account. Oh, okay, I do. Right here, if I click the import button, I can import the dollar amounts from, now, are you using the FreshBooks timesheets, I guess, is the next question. If you're using the FreshBooks timesheets, you can import it right here. If not, I would still leave them as time-based, and I would simply put in the total if it's a contract amount and it's not an hour times rate. So, sometimes contractors are hour times rate, or they are, you pay me $500 a week, whatever it is. So you can do that either way within here. If you do want to do that single line entry, you can click on the bulk button and you can either enter the hours times rate or the total. And you can even create a special earning for them if you wanted to. So just like we created the wages in lieu, you can create an individual earnings code for them if you wanted to, contractor fees or whatever. And then just know at year end, you're going to get a T4A for them because they're set as a contractor.
Does PaymentEvolution send the CRA remittances even if I have not closed the period?
Another great question. I love these. Okay, we try. We really, really, really try. So most of the remittance process is automated, but we do have people working within it. And so those people who are working within it and verifying and checking things have a list of every single company who's on remittances with us. And what they do is they try and go through and verify the list that everything has been done as it should have been. Reasons why we might not. If you change your frequency and therefore you're not on the twice a month remitter list, you're only on the monthly remitter list, we might not catch it. Or if it's your first remittance with us, you're not on the list, we might not catch it. So there is a small level of human, interaction here, and we try to catch it if you don't close your period. We try to tell you if you haven't closed your period, if we do catch it, because we want that report, especially if you're in Quebec. We need that report. And I'm going to say about 95% of the time we will catch it if you don't close your period. But there is that 5% of the time that we just don't, because there's a lot of them.
Don't risk it.
Yep. Close it.
Would PaymentEvolution create an ROE after the employee was terminated?
Absolutely.
Sorry
we do.
about the spelling in there.
Yeah, Kanga.
I didn't do it.
I didn't do it. Okay.
I just copied and pasted.
Okay, that's fair. I won't blame you then.
Okay. Let me switch the screen over.
So yeah, absolutely. When you terminate an employee, it automatically creates an ROE for you and prompts you to view it. Let's see how that works. So let's go to employees. And let's terminate by clicking the terminate button and the little employee with the X. And employee will not be processed. We can select any of our reasons, whatever the case may be, the termination date. It's going to tell me I can't do it because their last pay run ended on July 29th. So I'm going to say their termination date is July 29th and click terminate. Okay. Would you like to view the record of employment? Yes, I would. Fantastic. So here's my ROE. It's populated everything it has from the information in the system. If it doesn't have information, then it cannot populate it. If you need to modify anything, you can absolutely do that here. You can add in the amounts. If that wages in lieu, I believe it goes into block 17C right here. Pay in lieu of notice. Look, we already have code for it even. And then we can put in an amount in there. So you would take the amount from block 1, put it in there, just to follow up with that other question. Anything else is, again, you can modify this. Once you're done, you're going to click validate and save. If you go to print it, the print will say for your records only. It's a PDF copy. That's what it'll do. It'll print to PDF. It is for your records only. It is not for submission to Service Canada. If I click validate and save, nope, I didn't like that I put something in there. Okay, it'll say the ROE web version 2, employee's name, .blk is ready for submission. The .blk is required for the Service Canada upload site. I'm going to click OK, and then I can download it. Once I download it, I've got it on my computer. I'm going to go and sign in to the Service Canada website, and I'm going to upload the ROE on Service Canada website, okay? We will create the file for you. You need to go and upload it to Service Canada. We can't do that on your behalf. That being said, what if you terminated that person by accident? Let's go get him back. So I'm going to go to my terminated employees. I am going to rehire him, and it's going to ask me a question. It's going to ask me if I want to undo the termination or if I want to rehire them. So is this a new hire date? And really the key between the two is if I rehire him, it has to be, I have to have submitted that ROE to Service Canada because this rehire button will erase their EI details. So if I do not want to do that, and I'm going to check the checkbox that says no ROE has been issued, reinstate that employee, I can click undo termination. So if the ROE has not been sent to Service Canada, you're going to undo. If it has, rehire.
Okay. Hi, I need to back pay a casual employee for their vacation pay. I didn't realize there was a 40% loading.
4%.
Oh, sorry, 4%. How do I enter that into the dashboard?
Okay, so again, you can add that to the employee profile and then just pay it out. You can go to employees and back to payroll details and rules and add in the vacation pay owing. So let's say, I would take the financial year to date. I would say, okay, I've got their regular earnings or any of their vacationable earnings. So if I look here, commission and bonus should be subject to vacation. So in this instance, I would add all those earnings together, take 4% of it, and get a number. Once I have that number, because if the program didn't calculate it, you now need to calculate that 4%. Let's see. Let's make it $400. If I set it to release each pay, it's going to release that $400 plus whatever's earned on the next pay in the next pay. Or you can set it to accrue, so it just accrues going forward, and then you pay it out at some time that the employee asks you to pay out their vacation or they go on vacation. I'm still waiting for a really hard one.
Well, looks like you're going to have to wait a little longer because that's all the questions we have for today.
Oh my.
If you guys end up coming up with more questions or if there's anything you need help with, we have a great help desk at help.paymentevolution.com. You could simply put the key terms you're kind of searching for into the search box, and we'll be more than happy to help. And we have blog.paymentevolution.com. We have past training sessions, future training sessions that can also help you. Our YouTube page, we post all our videos and then some on there. And then for those of you on paid plans, we have support paymentevolution.com or 647-776-7600.
Extension 2.
Extension 2. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thanks.
I see we just got a couple more questions up on the board.
Oh, they were trying to stump me, weren't they?
I think that once you said that, you kind of just changed things. Yeah. But the question on how to close payroll on a monthly basis, I think we could show everyone.
Hold on, let me pull up the questions. I can look.
Well, I'm just going to pass the screen over to you, Andrea. If you could show them how to close the payroll on a monthly basis.
Okay. How do I close a payroll on a monthly basis, or how do I close the remittance period on a monthly basis? Can you clarify, James? And while you're clarifying, I'm gonna throw out a few other questions there. I'm gonna go with Lore, and it's how do I change the payroll frequency? The easy answer is don't.
The hard answer?
The hard answer is go read the article on our help desk. So if you go, I'm just going to show you where it is because it's easier that way than me trying to tell you. So if you are going to change the payroll frequency, again, I'm going to give you the answer in a lightened version. If you are going to change the payroll frequency, you need to do it with Service Canada first. You have to terminate all of your employees and send in ROEs because you are changing the data for your employees should they be terminated. Look here, right under managing my business, changing payroll frequencies. The other thing to consider is that you're going to get to their CPP wrong. Everybody gets a CPP exemption during the year. And so everybody gets $3,500 divided by the number of pay periods exempt from CPP each year. So if I have a $3,500 exemption and I'm being paid biweekly, that exemption is divided by 26. And so every pay I get I think it's $134, if I'm remembering correctly. So 3,500 divided by 26. I get that amount exempt from CPP. So I take my gross earnings, I subtract that amount, and then I do my CPP calculation. Well, all of a sudden, if you change my pay frequency, I've gone from 3,500 divided by 26 to 3,500 divided by 12. And my exemption is now higher. I will end up with a higher exemption amount at year end, and CRA does not like that. So if you're going to change payroll frequencies, try and do it at the start of a new payroll year, which is always January 1st. It's always calendar year. And if you are going to do it, you need to submit records of employment for every single employee to Service Canada. So if you do want to do it, I have step-by-step instructions here under help.paymentevolution.com, managing my business, changing payroll frequency.
And about that question about closing payroll on a monthly basis, we didn't get a response. So let's just show them how to close the period and how and why. So should you be a monthly remitter, we'll go with that.
Sure. So I'm going to go, if I'm going to close my period at the proper time, let's go with a monthly basis. Remittance periods are always based on pay date, not work dates. I'm going to say that one again. Pay dates, not work dates. So I don't care if you worked all of 1 month and were paid in the next month. It's the next month that matters. Okay? So if I have worked some months, sometime in May and June, but all of these payments happened in July, then I am working with July. So in July, when I have run my payroll with the last pay date in July, I'm going to close my period. So you know how you get that pie chart at the end of a payroll? That's the update summary report for any of you that are looking for it. It's the view version. So I've run a payroll and I know it's my last, see, there's my pie chart. So I know it's my last pay date of the month. So what I do is when I see that pie chart, I go to actions, end of period. Okay. I already did it before I ran the payroll. Let me finish this payroll and we're going to show you another option.
We also did a full training session on remittances.
Sure did.
So that can be found on blog.paymentevolution.com.
Sure can. So you can always close it, and if you want a better safe than sorry, don't want to remember it, and especially if we're doing remittances for you, close it after every pay run. We will combine the reports. Okay? So you can always do that. And if you're using accounting integration, I highly recommend that you close it after each one because it creates the report that you want to send to accounting. So I've closed it, got my pie chart, actions, end of period. If I don't do that and I go to run another payroll, it's going to ask me, is this a new remittance cycle? Do you want to close your period? And if it's a pay date in another month, make sure you say yes. Or another remittance frequency, if you're twice a month, if you're weekly, if you are quarterly, whatever your case is, if you're doing a pay date in another remittance period, please close it beforehand because it's not fun to pull the numbers out.
Okay, so if someone has a biweekly payroll and they need to export it into their accounting software every pay run instead of monthly, that gives them 2 closes each month. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So if we're doing remittances for you, we will remit on your behalf. If you're doing remittances yourself, it's just going to create 2 reports and you just combine them.
So James actually wants us to show him how to close the payroll period.
So you would just finalize the payroll. I'm not 100% sure I understand. You would just run the payroll and finalize it. So you're paying the payroll period.
Okay.
Anyone else trying to stump me?
No. So just going back to one of your previous questions, I think with changing the pay cycles, at the beginning of this payroll year, we told CRA we would be doing biweekly payroll. However, when we decided to go to weekly payroll instead, I have not changed this with CRA yet. Do you think this is going to be a problem?
Yes. Yes. This is going to be a big problem. Well, hold on. CRA doesn't care. Let's be clear about that. CRA does not care what your hold on. I'm going to find the question because I want to read it. I saw it here. Okay. We told CRA we'd do biweekly payroll. We then decided to go to weekly payroll instead. Again, CRA doesn't care what your pay frequency is. They only care about how much you pay over the course of a month. It's called your average monthly withholding amount. The question is were you paying biweekly at some point and then switched to weekly? Because if you were, then you should have sent in ROEs when you switched, and it will have affected your CPP exemption amount if you did not do it at the beginning of the year. So, Judy, if you want to get in touch with me, we can talk about this and see what happened and go from there.
Judy'd just like to add that she didn't do any biweekly pay runs.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fantastic. So I'm going to say you're a new business or anything. Again, CRA doesn't care, so you can go with it. If there's any follow-up questions or anything that I may be missing, then just get in touch with me. I'm happy to help.
Anybody else want to try to stump Andrea?
Last chance.
I think we're okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you everybody for coming.
Thanks.
I hope you got all your questions answered. Again, we have tons of spots for you to kind of look into to see, to have any of your questions answered. And we're always here and happy to help. But again, thank you all for coming and enjoy the rest of your week, right? Day and a half in the weekend. Woo.
Thanks. Oh, hi, Allie.
Everybody knows everybody now.
It's true.
Take care, guys.
Bye.